Hello, Print for Pay Hotel members and anybody else who's signed on to see this. I'm here with David Clearman today, and David Clearman is the Director of Marketing at Muratec America and also Vice President of PLS Sales. Is that correct, David?
Well, I'm the Senior Director of Sales and Marketing. You're close, very close. So close enough.
Well, pardon me for messing that up for you. But today, David's going to speak about recent print shop success stories with the digital color label presses. So, David, if you can, let's kick it off.
You got it. Well, thanks, Art, and no problem on the title. We all get those goofy titles going south different directions. But at any rate, well, thanks for having me. And we have had in the last, let's say last 45 days, we've had some really good success or continued success with a few dealers selling into the print and print shop space. Short run labels, mid run labels, and inkjet, memjet substrates and applications have really started to pick up in activity. I think the word's gotten out there that this application and this category is really growing. Not only growing, but it's becoming a real live thing for smaller companies to source this type of application or these types of labels and these short runs locally. They like having control over it, and they like being able to source this and get it from a dealer, and so that the dealer can help them out and can support the equipment, can do the installs, and can support the medias and inks and just really the whole 9 yards. But this has really speared an interest from these print shops. And the more familiar our dealers are with the technology, the more likely they're able to go out and ask the questions. The questions are not hard. As you probably, if you've ever seen one of my presentations or heard me talk, one of my big things is we're not really breaking too many rules from the print space. We're just taking another step. So we're still putting images on paper. It's just now, instead of having cut sheet paper, we're roll to roll. And you still have to answer the same questions and ask the same questions to get a prospect to let you walk in the door and sit down and see what they're doing. The terminology is a little different. We talk about media instead of paper. We talk about substrates instead of paper, but we still talk throughput. We talk how many labels and how many, what kind of volume you're going to do a month or a quarter or a year.
Right.
We still talk about cost per label or instead of cost per page.
Right.
Even though we don't have CPC programs, we do have something that we're working on that so we can make it easy for the dealer to charge. But again, it's a lot of the same conversations. And again, with the dealers getting more comfortable having those conversations with the print shops, that's why our activity continues to rise. We also have seen just a boost since a lot of people are coming back to work and coming back to their offices, like we were just talking about earlier. We see a boost for some of these smaller companies to start up and get going, and maybe again reach out to some of their local print shops and print people that they're already doing business with to help them out on their low volume stuff. So that's been very good. The margins are really good for the dealers. There's still no other manufacturer. The good news is there's still no other manufacturer that's in this space except us, Konica Minolta, Muratec Precision Label Series, whatever you want to call us. Yeah. And again, it's a really neat twist. For me, it's a really neat twist because my background is marketing, but we walk in the door and we don't necessarily talk about cut sheet or who's supporting your copiers or who's talking to you about MFPs. we just generally go in the door and talking to marketing, packaging, labels, production managers, and it's a different conversation than talking to a business office manager about copiers or their monthly copy costs. It's more of a marketing conversation. So instead of getting in, when you do a cold call, instead of getting into about 5 or 10% of those cold calls, we're getting in about 80% of those. We actually get to see somebody. Yeah, it's surprising. And when my guys go out, and I actually go do cold calls as well, just to test it. I'm always interested to say, hey, let's go talk to a couple of print shops. Let's pull them up on Google Maps. Let's go find a print shop and just start asking questions.
Right.
And usually the reps that I go with, the dealer reps that I go with, are really just blown away that these guys, open arms, come on in and talk. And so it's a really good differentiator, but it's also a way to get into an account that you may not have gotten into before.
Right.
So that's kind of the highlights. Again, activity is up because the comfort level's up. We're seeing again the familiarity with the talk track is getting better and better. People have heard about us. They've heard about the technology now. It's out there. It's been out there for 3 years, coming up on 4 years, and that's changing the game a bit.
Yeah, time does fly. How about size of print shops? Is there a certain size that we look for?
That's a great question. So far, I'd say in the last 60 days, Art, that the size has been a small print shop. And when I say small, you're probably talking fewer than 25 employees.
Right.
Has been the sweet spot. Above that, you really get into an advanced conversation. You really have to have some background in labels. You really have to have a background in packaging. And that's where you can get us involved or my team involved. But I think just for, down the street rep or a commercial rep or even a production rep to go into these smaller print shops, it's a little bit easier to have these conversations initially with the smaller ones. They may have some production machines. They may have some cut sheet production or even wide format, but they're not going to have flexo and they're not going to have offset.
Right.
So that's a little bit easier conversation, a little bit easier to take them from cut sheet to roll than if you go into a shop that does have offset or flexo. But again, both are very viable. You probably just want to have one of us go in or one of my guys go in with you and have that conversation with the big print shops. So the smaller print shops are just a little more comfortable with the talk track from their dealer or from a dealer, I believe, than anything else.
Interesting. So would, I guess, any print shop, as long as they have production, might be a suspect or a prospect?
Absolutely. Any print shop,
right.
Any print shop anywhere it's worth going and asking a question.
Right.
The cut sheet print shops, if they have what I call the aircraft carrier copiers, 22-foot long copiers with, bookmaking capabilities and all that kind of stuff. It's a simple question. Do any of your customers ask you for labels?
Right.
And if they say yes, then you have a suspect. And it's what they do for that customer that really determines whether you have a prospect. If they say, yes, they do ask me for labels, and here's how we help them. We send them to a third party, or I send them to a third party, or we make them on that wide format machine. That really determines how your next question or how your approach is going to really be. That really makes the difference right there.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Very interesting. So, and I would tend to think that it would be similar to the copier cold call, where you definitely want to have some samples on you.
I totally would agree. Yes,
Okay.
samples are the norm. You don't want to overwhelm them, and you want to be knowledgeable of the substrates or the medias that your samples are on, because that'll be the first question out of their mouth. They'll look at the output, and they're going to see a very high resolution label, and then they're going to ask you, what is this printed on? How is it printed? How fast is it print? What's my cost? And it won't be a cost per label as much as it could be some things called MSIs and just different terminologies, but it costs, just giving a basic idea of the cost of the label, each label will come up. But the substrates are really the key knowledge base, to have that in your back pocket. But yeah, having samples on hand, absolutely.
So you mentioned MSI.
Mm-hmm.
That's something square inch, I believe.
Yep. That's 1,000 square inches. Okay, and the printers, the larger print shops, will really want to know what the MSI is cost-wise for their substrates, for their medias, for the inks, et cetera, et cetera. And we don't get stuck too much into that because we like talking individual labels. We would prefer to talk individual label costs as opposed to MSI.
Right.
And the reason being that the types of medias that we use on this particular entry-level, mid-level device, the media cost by itself is a little higher because it has a coating, it has a top coating on it that helps it adhere to the inks, or vice versa. And so we try not to get too caught up in the MSI because of the media costs can overwhelm them. They'll see that and go, oh no, that can't possibly be close. But once we show them the ink cost and the media cost together, that gives them a better feel for the total expenditure on their labels.
Nice.
But it is something that you can go online and look up MSI, and you can read all about it. But again, we try not to get too caught up in it because it can get them sideways. It can get a small print shop sideways before they even get a taste of what we're trying to do for them.
Okay, awesome, David. This has been fantastic. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people who take away a lot from this. I appreciate your time. I appreciate learning more, especially now I know what MSI is. And to everybody out there who's going to view the video, if you like the video, you like the content in the video, please subscribe, please like, and you can always, if you're interested in additional information, you always get a hold of David Clearman through via LinkedIn, or they could email you also, right, David?
Yep, you got it. It's dclearman@muratec.com.
There you go. Everyone, thank you very much. And we're signing off. Have a great day, David. Thanks a lot. We'll talk soon, buddy.
Thanks, Art.
All right.
Take care.
Welcome. Bye-bye.